Hello, everyone. Today we will explore how Orchestrator and Operator Agents function together to streamline complex workflows. Let's dive in and see how these agents can transform manual processes into efficient, automated solutions. An orchestrator acts as a central management agent, overseeing and directing all subtasks within a specific use case. The orchestrator can delegate specialized functions to sub-workflow agents, known as operators, to execute their respective tasks. Let's explore how the orchestrator agent works. It receives invoices via email. It then processes the invoice to determine if the details are in the email body or as an attachment. This decision is made based on the email's content. Next, the orchestrator identifies the invoice type, such as travel, non-PO, purchase order, or expense reimbursement. Once the type is determined, the orchestrator assigns the task to the relevant operator. Now, let's look at the process in more detail. The automation is triggered automatically whenever a new email arrives in a designated Outlook folder. We've created a dedicated folder so that when an email is received there, automation starts automatically. It then reads the most recent email in the folder. We use an AI step to analyze the data and determine whether the invoice information is in an attachment or in the email body as a JSON structure. Based on this, when an attachment is received, our agent document processing action performs OCR on the file, extracting all necessary details, regardless of complexity or page count. The data is then converted into a structured JSON response and stored for further analysis. Next, we analyze the invoice to determine its type: travel, purchase order matching, non-purchase order, expense reimbursement, and so on. If the invoice is in JSON format, we read the email body to determine the type. After identifying the invoice type, the workflow is routed to a specific operator based on the result. For example, a travel invoice will trigger our travel invoice agent. We can select a specific agent for each action. Let's take a look at the operator agent. The operator agent is a workflow that manages a particular invoice type in a specialized way. In this scenario, we're working with an approval document. We then perform several validation steps, including amount, date, airfare, hotel, and destination checks. After validation, we provide output in the required format, including the validation status, success or failure. There is also a user task step, which involves human-in-the-loop approval. Approval rules dictate who must approve and in what sequence. For single approvals, a chosen individual's approval advances the workflow. When multiple approvers are involved, you can choose between serial approval, where each person approves in a specified order, or parallel approval, where all approvers receive the invoice concurrently. In both serial and parallel scenarios, every listed approver is essential, and a single rejection will move the workflow to a rejected state. Alternatively, the anyone option allows the workflow to continue if just one of the designated users approves. The reference ID uniquely identifies this workflow. Here, you specify the source for the PDF, header data, and line data. When the user approves, we save the processed data in a specific Excel file. If rejected, we send an email notification stating the invoice was not approved. Now, let's review another workflow, such as the expenditure reimbursement agent. This workflow starts by validating the expense item against the T&E policy. Validation includes employee identification, expense categories, receipt checks, amount limits, date validation, policy compliance, and duplicate expense detection. Next is the duplicate expense detection. We use a third-party API to verify any potential duplicate expenses in the claims. Exception handling step is included to detect missing employee IDs, missing receipts, amounts over limits, policy violations, and duplicate claims. These tasks are specified in the task prompt. There is also a human-in-the-loop step. If an invoice is approved, we save the data and maintain an Excel sheet from it. If rejected, we save the data and notify the user by email. We have workflows for all invoice types. For example, purchase order invoices follow a dedicated process, while non-purchase order invoices have a different workflow. Now that all operator agents are set up, we'll trigger the workflow to demonstrate how it works. All connections are configured, and all operator agents are linked. When a new email arrives in the Orchestrator folder, automation starts automatically. Let's walk through an example. Here is an email with an invoice and approval document. If we move this email to a specific folder, as soon as it arrives, automation is triggered automatically. Let's see it in action. The automation has been triggered. It looks like this. After completion of flow, it will show us the output of each step. After analyzing our email, it determined whether the attachment was a JSON file or another type, and then proceeded to process the document. During this process, all data from the invoice was extracted and saved in an extract.ext file. The system first recognized the document as a travel invoice, then delegated the remaining work to our travel invoice operator agent. This agent received all required input data, including the files and the data extracted from OCR. Now, let's explore the travel invoice agent's output. The workflow will proceed automatically. The user tasks wait for the user to approve or reject the invoice data. You also edit the information extracted and preview the invoice here. If the invoice is approved, we store the data in an Excel file. If it's rejected, an email notification is sent. This demonstrates how Supervity's orchestrator and operator agents work together to transform complex invoice processing into clear, actionable steps, saving valuable time and reducing manual effort. Thank you for watching.